Welcome back to Chat Like a Native. So, if you're an intermediate learner, you probably know this feeling, right? You've got the vocabulary, you understand the grammar, but, well, when you actually talk, you feel like you sound a bit flat.
Mm-hmm. Like you're reading from a textbook sometimes.
Exactly, like a
That's...
carefully built sentence, but not really alive.
Oh.
Today, we're diving into that. We're trying to crack the code on what makes English sound truly fluent, natural, engaging.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, the secret weapon isn't some super obscure grammar point you missed somewhere.
It's actually about telling short, confident stories.
Stories, okay.
Our goal today is really to help you move past just that, polite back and forth, asking and answering questions, and get more into actual human connection. We've looked at some simple, repeatable blueprints you can use so you can stop sounding like a list of facts, and start connecting faster.
Okay, let's unpack that. Why stories? I mean, even tiny ones. It seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? Wouldn't just a simple sentence be easier? Yeah, you'd think so. But what's really interesting is that stories kind of do the heavy lifting for you, cognitively speaking.
How so?
They give you a ready-made structure for complexity. So instead of worrying like, okay, how do I put these 5 clauses together? You just rely on a framework you already know.
Ah, okay, so it lowers the stress.
Exactly, which is huge for fluency.
Yeah.
And when the listener hears that story shape, they get you faster, they remember what you said longer, plus it gives you a safe space to practice those more complicated phrases because the story itself gives them context.
Right, so the structure lets you shift your focus away from just grammar rules and more towards just expressing the moment. That's a big shift. But when we say story, what kind of length are we talking about here? I mean, you can't launch into your life story during a quick coffee break, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No, no. We're mostly dealing with 2 main types, and it depends on length and context. First, you really want to master the micro story.
Micro story, okay.
Think of these like movie trailers.
Yeah.
For moments in your life. They're usually pretty short, maybe 30 to 90 seconds.
Okay.
These are your daily bread, really. Essential for small talk.
Yeah.
Or, answering those quick, how did that meeting go questions. Or just adding a quick example to make a point clearer.
Got it. The things that make everyday chat feel, well, natural. Needs to be quick and to the point.
Precisely. Then you have your spotlight stories.
Spotlight, okay, sounds bigger.
Yeah, these are longer, more detailed, maybe 2 to 5 minutes. These are your, let's say, special dishes. You save them for more high-stakes situations.
Get job interviews.
Exactly. Those classic tell me about a time when you questions. Or maybe if you're giving a short presentation and need a really persuasive example. Okay, so the plan is get a few strong micro stories ready to go first, like filed away and polished.
And to build those, we need structure. Which brings us to the blueprints. You mentioned 3 frameworks.
Yeah, 3 ready-made frameworks that can structure your thoughts pretty much instantly. And the key is just pick one to start with. Master that first.
Why just one?
Well, consistency and repetition are what build that kind of muscle memory for fluency. So focus is better initially.
Makes sense. Okay, blueprint number 1. This is probably the most common, especially professionally. It's SCR, Situation Complication Resolution, SCR. Okay.
It's just the basic flow of almost any anecdote, really, because it mirrors how we naturally think about problems.
Right. So, situation, that just sets the scene,
Yep.
sets the stage.
Yep.
Last Monday, our team prepared a crucial software demo for a new client. That's your context. Who, when, what. Okay, simple enough. Then the complication. That's the but part, exactly.
Right.
That's the tension, the pivot.
Yeah.
So, 10 minutes before the call started, we realized the main data dashboard wouldn't load any real-time metrics. Ah, okay. The problem appears.
And the listener immediately kind of leans in, right, because they get the stakes. A surprise problem just when you needed things to work.
And then finally, the action, the resolution.
Yeah, what you did about it. So I quickly exported a simplified PDF backup I had prepared the night before, shared that on the call, and we successfully got the client feedback we needed.
Short, punchy, clear. Situation, complication, resolution. Problem solved, story complete.
And it shows you took action. It's super useful for rehearsing any quick story about solving a problem.
That SCR structure is really practical, but, how do you actually find these stories when you need them? Like, on the spot? Ah, good question. That leads us nicely to blueprint 2, the 3x3 anecdote matrix. Okay, 3x3 matrix. Sounds organized.
It is. It's less about the narrative structure itself and more like a system for retrieving your stories. A content retrieval system.
Like a mental filing cabinet.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You set up 3 main categories, maybe work, learning, and personal. And then 3 types of moments like a win, a miss or mistake, and a lesson learned.
Work, learning, personal. Win, miss, lesson. Okay, so that gives you 9 potential story slots.
9 small stories ready to go, which covers a surprising amount of ground.
Yeah, I can see that. So if someone asks, say, what's something surprising you learned recently?
Instead of freezing up, you just mentally go to Learning Plus lesson and pull out that pre-prepared micro story. It stops that horrible panic silence.
We've all been there.
Right. Where you know you have examples, but your brain just won't serve them up.
I think the miss category. That one's probably tough for learners. Admitting mistakes, even small ones.
Oh, definitely. But those missed stories are often the most powerful. They show humility, self-awareness, growth. Super important.
Okay, so SCR for structure, 3 by 3 for retrieval. What's the third blueprint?
Right.
Right, so for maximum engagement, like if you really want to grab someone's attention and make the story stick, there's blueprint 3, hero. Hero, okay, what does that stand for?
Hook, emotion, reveal, outcome. This one's designed specifically to pull the listener in right from the start.
Ah, the hook. Like in writing. Okay, give me the example. So the hook. I almost lost a client because of one single word.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't not listen after that. Curiosity is definitely triggered. Exactly. Then you bring in the personal connection, the emotion. I felt completely embarrassed when I realized I had misunderstood forward the deck.
Yeah.
Maybe thinking it meant move the meeting, right? That vulnerability, it makes it
Mm-hmm.
relatable. Then the reveal, the aha moment or the turning point. I realized deck actually means slide presentation, not, part of a ship. And I frantically resent the correct materials.
Mm.
Okay, the clarification.
Yeah.
And finally, the outcome.
The lasting impact. So now I always double check any unfamiliar jargon right away. It makes my communication way clearer. It's a great little story, high stakes, emotional connection, and clear learning.
Hero hook, emotion reveal, outcome. Got it.
Yeah.
So we have these blueprints, but what about the actual language? Just having a structure isn't enough if the words don't flow, right?
Absolutely. Critical point. Learners often get stuck thinking word by word. But native speakers, we rely heavily on chunks. Chunks? You mean like set phrases?
Yeah, ready-made phrases, collocations, things like as a result of, the main reason was, on the other hand, using these is crucial for intermediate learners because it reduces the mental load. You're not building every sentence from scratch grammatically.
They're like cognitive shortcuts. Click the Lego bricks together instead of making each brick yourself.
Exactly, it frees up brain power.
So what are some essential chunks for this kind of storytelling? Well, you need them for different parts of the story, for strong openers. Things like, quick story about that, or maybe, here's what happened.
Okay. Starting phrases. Then for linking ideas, cause effect. As a result. Or because of that. Or that's why we decided to.
Right. And I bet the contrast ones are really useful for stories.
Oh, definitely. Contrast chunks like, at first I thought, but then I realized, or I expected X, however, Y happened. These really help manage the listener's journey through the story.
Yeah, they signal the twists and turns. And finally, you absolutely need strong wrap-ups. You can't just trail off. So phrases like, the main takeaway here is, or what I learned from that was, or next time I'll definitely weigh. Having those ready makes a huge difference to sounding fluent.
Massive.
Yeah.
They improve your speed and just sound more natural.
Okay, so chunks help with the language flow. But another common pitfall, the dreaded backstory overload.
Ugh, yes, where someone starts telling a story and first explains the company history, the weather that day,
Yeah.
the traffic on the way to the meeting. And 5 minutes later, you've completely forgotten the point, if there ever was one.
Yeah, we need to avoid that. And a good way is something called the camera method.
The camera method, okay, like a film director.
Exactly like that. It forces you to show just the key moments, not the entire backstory. You move from broad context to sharp detail, quickly.
How does that work in practice? You start with the wide shot, just one sentence.
Yeah.
Where and when. In the Monday morning stand-up, when the team seemed tired, basic context, okay, wide shot.
Then you zoom in fast for the close-up. Focus on one key, specific detail, maybe a visual cue. The cursor on the shared screen suddenly started jumping around, or I saw the client just slightly raise an eyebrow, something concrete.
Got it. Specific sensory detail.
Then the action. What did you specifically do right then? I quickly opened the backup folder, or I took a breath and jumped in to clarify. Focus on your response.
Action.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. And the last part, the reaction. The immediate result and maybe how you felt. The presentation got back on track and I felt this wave of relief. That's it. It forces you to be concise and use vivid, short descriptions. Great practice.
Wide shot, close-up, action, reaction. I like that. It cuts out the fluff. But, even with great structure, great chunks, great focus, if the delivery is flat or confusing, the story still fails, especially when you're juggling all this as a learner.
So true. Are you actually being understood, or are you just talking? We need to focus on delivery, and there are four main controllable levers here.
Four levers. Okay, what are they?
First is pace, your
Mm.
speaking speed. Aim for steady, medium, not too fast, not too slow. Good rule of thumb. If people look confused or leaning in really hard, try slowing down maybe 10%. Nerves make us speed up.
Good tip. Slow down 10%. Okay, second lever.
Pauses. Use them strategically. For non-native speakers, pauses are like a secret weapon. They build a bit of suspense in the story, sure. But crucially, they give you a tiny moment to breathe and think, to recall the next chunk, or double-check your thought. Pause briefly after the situation. Pause again after the complication. Clarity over speed.
Pauses are your friend. Got it. Third lever.
Stress or emphasis. Highlighting the key words. Don't just say, the dashboard crashed 10 minutes before the call in a monotone.
Right. It's hard to follow. Instead, stress the important bits. The dashboard crashed 10 minutes before the call. You're guiding the listener to the critical information makes a huge difference. Okay, and the fourth lever.
Intonation. The rise and fall of your voice. Use a little upward lift on your out college. Hook. It signals story starting and draws people in. Then, for your takeaway or resolution, use a clear downward tone. Signals completion.
Up for the hook, down for the finish, okay? Pace, pauses, stress, intonation, focusing on those seems much more manageable than trying to perfect everything at once.
Way more manageable, and often gives you a bigger boost in sounding natural than just learning more vocabulary.
Okay, this is super practical. Since we know people will want to use these stories professionally, let's give them a couple of ready-to-use templates, based on that SCR structure, maybe.
Yeah, great idea. Models to kickstart their story bank. Okay, template A could be the clarification save the day story. This one's great for showing you're careful and thoughtful. How would that work? The hook is simple. A tiny question I asked prevented a big mistake last week. Complication. The instructions weren't totally clear. Resolution. You paused, asked for a quick clarification or example. Outcome. The work was done correctly the first time. Easy, low risk, shows critical thinking. Nice, simple, effective. What about template B? Maybe the fast fix under pressure story. Hook. We had like 5 minutes and only one chance to recover. Ooh, dramatic.
Some tech failed, internet died, whatever. Resolution. You had a simple backup ready, pulled up that PDF, used a screenshot you'd saved, shows you're prepared and agile.
Yeah, those two cover a lot of common professional ground. Having those structures ready is instant credibility, really.
Definitely. Okay, so we have blueprints, chunks, delivery tips, even templates. But practice can still feel like a chore. How do we make it painless?
We need routines that take just a few minutes, like the 1-1-1 drill.
1-1-1. Tell me more.
Super simple. 3 minutes max. You choose one blueprint, let's say SCR. You choose one prompt, like tell about a time you solved a small tech issue, and you record one take on your phone.
Just one take, no editing?
Nope. One take, listen back immediately, note just one thing to improve next time. Maybe I said too much, or I forgot to pause after the complication. That's it, one improvement, then you move on. Takes the pressure off perfection.
I like that. Quick, focused, low stakes. What else?
To build up that story library over time, try the 5x45 sprint.
5x45?
Upload 5 different 45-second micro-stories during the week. So Monday, maybe a work win, Tuesday, a personal lesson, Wednesday, a learning miss, etc. 5 quick recordings spread out is way less intimidating than trying to do it all at once on the weekend.
Yeah, it breaks it down, makes it achievable.
Now, while you're building this story bank, we do need to touch on culture-safe storytelling.
Important point. Especially for global communication.
Yeah. Be brave with practicing your fluency, definitely. But don't be risky with the content. For example, self-deprecation, making fun of yourself lightly. Only do it if the story clearly ends with you learning something positive or growing.
Right. If the self-deprecating joke just hangs there, it can backfire.
Exactly. And professionally, if you're talking about a problem or a mistake that involved another team, try to use we or I instead of they.
Taking collective responsibility, always safer.
Much safer, more unifying. And generally, if you're ever unsure if a particular joke or humorous angle will land, especially across cultures, just swap it out.
Swap it for what?
Surprise. Or contrast. Those elements are just as engaging as humor, but they're universally understood and much less risky.
Good advice. Surprise and contrast are safe bets.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this all up. What's the main message here?
I think it's that you don't actually need perfect grammar to be a really compelling storyteller in English.
Right. What you need is a simple, reliable shape like SCR or hero.
And a few of those reusable language chunks to connect the pieces smoothly. And a steady, clear voice using those 4 levers. Pace, pause, stress, Intonation. It's about repeatable, structured moments, not just memorizing rules.
Exactly. And start small. Do that 1-1-1 drill today with one micro story. Your fluency really takes off when you shift focus from just remembering rules to confidently sharing a structured moment.
Okay, so for our final thought today, something to mull over. How do you really know if your story landed? We often think, okay, I finished the story, success. But the real measure isn't internal, it's external.
What the listener does.
Right. So pick one signal to watch for this week in your actual conversations. Are people physically nodding or leaning in when you tell a brief story? Are they asking relevant follow-up questions after your story ends, extending the topic?
Those are the real metrics.
Exactly. Track those. Make your progress visible to yourself because when you see them lean in, that's when you know you're truly starting to chat like a native.